Hello. Good evening. Thanks for joining. As you are joining, please do share the program. Invite your friends and your loved ones. Today's topic is going to be an interesting one. Bear with me, I'm just rushing in now, so everything is a little bit lovely. Waiting for my guests to join in. I've got two guests for today, Mr. Adedamola and Mr. Oluwaseun. I'm waiting for them to join in. And today's topic, let me put it up there. Thank you for joining in. Please, as you join in, share the program, please. And today's topic, we are looking at power tussle in marriage. It's an interesting topic. It's something we all go through on a daily basis, especially in a new relationship. So we want to look at what are the causes, what can we do about it to change it, how can it be better, what are the solutions, how can we avoid it. These are the things we want to look at. So I want everybody to just join in, please. Do not be an observant only. Do join in. What are the causes of power tussle? One of the things I've come to realize or observe is different background. That can be one of the reasons why we have power tussles in relationship. We have different backgrounds. I could be an African, even within Africa. Maybe I'm Igbo, and you are Yoruba. The way we see things is different. Our belief system is different. If we do not manage this properly, it can bring about power tussle in our relationship. I'm waiting for my guests, Mr. Adedamola and Mr. Oluwaseun Olubanwo, to join in. So when you are in, let me know, then I'll bring you into the camera. Let me see if I can put the topic on. For the two people that have joined in, thank you very much. Please do share the program. Power tussle in relationship. In marriages, in relationship. Okay, that's what we're looking at. Thank you for joining, my sister. God bless you. If you want to come in and speak, just let me know and I'll bring it out. I'll bring it up to join and speak. The reasons, that's the first thing I want us to look at. What is power tussle? And what are the causes? My brother is here, one wonderful speaker. Brother, evangelist, pastor, Barakel, Professor Oluwaseun Olubanwo. Thank you for joining, sir. When you're ready to come on video, do let me know. What is the meaning of power tussle in relationship, in marriage? As far as I'm concerned, the simple word is disagreement in marriages. Everybody trying to be the one that has the last say in a relationship or in an argument or concerning anything. I want to have the upper hand. You want to have the upper hand. Thank you for joining in, Maria Voice. Oh, thank God. So I'm not going to be the only woman speaking today. Amen. And in marriages, in relationship, it happens mostly when the relationship is very young, when you are trying to understand each other, coming from different background, different orientation, different religion. Sometimes, you know, the way you see things is different perspective to life, even to upbringing of children. You believe your child should be brought up this way, your partner believes it should be brought up the other way. And then if it's not managed properly, it becomes, no, it has to be my way. It has to be his way or your way. And then that's where the tussle comes in. That's where the dragging comes in. My sister Maria voice is joining on in video now. Let me know when you're ready, Pastor, Prophet. And as a man, I believe strongly that it's easier for women to calm down during the tussle. But I think I'm throwing it more to the men, and that's why I really brought men to come and speak. You need to I've asked you to join. You need to request, then I will accept you. I can't see you. You need to request to join in. Okay, thank you for letting me know, Maria. Pastor Show, you need to request for me to bring you on. I'm still waiting for another guest. Professor, that's another professor. We have two professors in the house today, so God help me. So Professor Adedamola, I'm sure is joining very soon. Professor Sheung, you have not requested yet. While you figure that out, thank you for joining my mom, Minunoyo. God bless you, ma. Power tussle in marriage can even start from how you even use the toothpaste. When I wasn't even up to a teenager then. I think, was I a teenager? About 10, 11 years old. When my father brought some ministers to come and minister on marriage, they used the example of toothpaste, and I've never forgotten it since then. I held on to that example and I used it in my daily living. And the example is this: your partner may believe, is used to using the toothpaste halfway and throwing it away, or using it all the way and they just put it in the bin. Thank you for joining, sir. You really look okay. God bless you.
I hope you can,
I
hope you can hear me clearly, though.
Sorry, sir. Very clearly. And myself, am I clear?
Indeed.
Sorry, sir. You said?
Yes, yes, you are.
Okay. So I was talking about the example of where you can even have a power tussle in relationship, even with the use of toothpaste. You know, something I picked up when I was very young, where the man believes when he uses the toothpaste to the end, you throw it in the bin, but the woman has the upbringing of cutting the empty toothpaste into two with the scissors and using your toothbrush to scrub all the paste in it. Even that can bring power tussle, in the sense that you believe, no, you don't need to do that. That is a sense of poverty. You know, why are you cutting the toothpaste? We have more in the house. And then the woman believes, yeah, but there's still toothpaste in it. If we cut it, whatever the bit in it, we can still use it. 3 people can still use that before we chuck it in the bin. But if it's not managed properly, you know, when we talk about these power tussles in marriage, it's those silly little things that bring about power tussle. And it's all about how do we manage these things. And the woman believes, let's cut it and use it. The man said, no, you are ridiculing me by doing that. I can afford to buy so many toothpaste. We have so many in the storage. Just take another one. And the man's like, no. The man is saying no. And that a trouble starts. But having to understand each other, how do we deal with things like that? As an example, I'm going to ask you to come in now, sir.
First of all, I think there's a feedback somewhere. Maybe at the end, do you have another phone that is tuned in live video?
I have another phone, but it's not on.
Is it tuned? There's be some feedback.
Okay, let me see. Let me try and put this on. Is it better now?
Yes, it is better now. It is better now. The feedback is good. For starters, good evening.
Good evening.
Much better. I want to quickly correct a perception that I think maybe perhaps is erroneous, that it's usually relationships of marriage that are kind of like in the stages that experience. Well, that tells us that might not be because in the early stages you're still very tolerant because you're still in that honeymoon stage, if I can call it that. But as you put, especially after you've got like a decade, then you become commonplace to one another, and chances are that you understand one another better, you know one another better. Even if I'm telling you, you tell from my body language, I mean it's not yet. So the first thing I kind of like noticed things, especially for most of us
You're still having problems with the feedback. There's a delay.
Still having it, yes. Still having it here as well.
I have no idea what that is.
Not sure whether it's coming from my end. Is this any better?
Better, it's better.
Okay. So the first thing I've noticed, especially for those of us from a Christian background, is that most times when we talk about marriage and we're about to go into a marriage, we do not, we approach it only from the scriptures. And I know the scriptures are, but there are also some challenges in that respect. The first thing they will always tell you is the role of a man, what the Bible says a man should be, the shepherd of his home, the pastor, the woman being a virtuous man. And so many areas are not addressed. Number one, finance is not addressed. How you relate with family.
That's a big one that brings a lot of tussle. That is very important, yes.
Families from both sides, parents-in-laws, siblings, how you address all of that. And these days, I tend to say to people that care to listen this, I believe marriage should be approached from the point of view that you're entering into a contract, albeit this particular one is going to be a lifelong contract. The more reason why the emphasis to the small prints and the terms and the conditions. So, for example, if I want to procure services from you, or I want to enter into a business arrangement with you, naturally we will draw up the contract. And in the contract, we stipulated what your responsibilities will be, your contribution to the business, and the same will apply to me. What my responsibility in that business, the role of each other. You could be the head of finance, I could be in charge of operations. It is clearly cut who approves what, who does what, how we do things within that arrangement, that contract. The terms and conditions are clearly written out, and the penalties for a default or going against the terms and the conditions is clearly known and it is written down. Some will tell you that is too simplistic an approach to marriage, but I don't think it is. An example is finance. Question is, do we even bother to ask ourselves, do you have any debts? So I want to go into a marriage
I
with you
need to
now.
know before I come into your life.
Do you have any debts whatsoever that I need to be aware of? Also, not only do you have debts, how did you come about these debts? Because I want to know and I want to garner information as to your habits, your financial habits, your discipline, or otherwise. I want to understand that as well. Also, how do we address fulfillment of our obligations? Who is responsible for paying for what? How do we want to manage it? Are we going to have joint accounts? Or are we going to have our separate account and then we have a utility account of some sort where we both contribute money into
A
and
clear
bills?
understanding of who does what, who pays which bill.
Exactly. Who pays which? And how is the bill paid? Does it come out of my account directly? Do we have a joint account? Do
Joint
we have
account.
and have a utility account where we put money into to pay all those bills? Things like that, you'll find that
Sorry, while on finance, there's this fear. There's this fear of doing joint accounts with partners. I think that has to do with a lot of distrust and information we've heard from other people's relationship or past experiences. People are scared to do joint accounts with their partner, even though they're like, we love each other, we married, but my money, I am not putting it in the same egg with you. How do we deal with that?
there is no problem in being averse to having a joint account. See, there are different forms of joint account. Like I said earlier on, I could have my account, Barakel's account. You have yours, Mudupe's account. Of course, we would have both had bank accounts before getting married, naturally. You know what I mean? But we can now just have a joint account, which is like maybe a utility account. For example, this is where my contribution every month for fulfilling or meeting the family obligation goes into. Example, mortgage, utilities, gas, water, electricity, council tax. I pay a certain amount every month into that account. You do the same, and we both have control of that account. It is still a joint account. So I still have my individual account. We could also have a joint savings account, which we both have control over. I think where the challenge lies is where one party is overtly controlling and the other party does not have access to that account. So you are contributing money every month, £1,000 every month, expecting that at the end of the year, at least we will have 12,000 with my contribution to. And then you discover 24 months down the line that the money is nowhere, it's not even there because you don't have access to that account. You've not been checking it, so you're not privy to the knowledge that maybe I've been doing stuff with money. And that boils down to
on that note, I've heard some men who say, like, being authoritative, don't you trust me? I'm the head of the family. I mean, why do you need to have a control over the account as well? Why do you want to be a signatory to the account? If I'm the head of the family, you should trust me to oversee the account.
Question is, if I were the way I will play it back is, don't you trust me to also have access to the account? If you're expecting me to trust to be the singular person in control of it, are you not do likewise and trust me to be the singular person controlling it? Why must it be the man managing? And let's be honest with ourselves. Save for some very peculiar circumstances or cases, women are better managers, if we'll be honest with ourselves, as men. There are some certain peculiar circumstances, cases, where some women are maybe perhaps careless. But majority of the time, women are better managers of. And because a woman default most times believes she's answerable to her husband, will be very careful with the money. Now, most of us men become rather cavalier in the sense that we believe we're the authority, we are authoritarian. I am not answering to anyone. So most times we do things off the cuff because we believe we're not answerable to anyone. So I believe women are better managers in that respect. But it's not just that. It's not just money. How we keep money. How do we spend money? What do we spend that on? How do you address a need from your family? How do I address a need from my family? I need to know upfront. If, for example, you are the breadwinner of your family, if you are responsible for your parents and for your siblings, I need to know ahead of time this is the case. And then we want to address it. Okay, of your income you think you will be expending on taking care of your family. And we both sit down and ask ourselves those questions. Can we afford that? If we can, how do we address it? Not that we get into the marriage, all of a sudden, there's an expectation of me that I'm to put 500 pounds down, and I turn around and tell you this month, it's going to work. Why can't it work? I have got to spend 300 to my brother for school. But we had an agreement. This is an agreement. There's an agreement in place. So most of these things we do not.
Sorry, Brother, I understand you very well. But a lot of African men, I don't know, I just keep saying it, but it's the truth. They will feel like, I mean, I work. It's my work. It's my money. Why would I have to tell you how much I have to send to my mom? How dare you ask me how much I'm going to send to my mom? I worked for the money.
Okay, yeah. Some men might find that to be challenging. But the reality is this. If our agreement, we have an expenditure of £1,000 every month, yeah? I am to contribute 700 towards it every month. You are to contribute 300 towards it, yeah? We have a savings, education fund, things we contribute to. I would like to think that as long as I'm able to fulfill my obligations to the family, to an extent, I should have control of what I do with the rest of my money. So
probably if we might not call it maybe funds to my mom, we might put it under miscellaneous.
Well, it depends on both parties. This is the reason why these discussions need to be had before you get to that point where you have already entered, made vows and entered into the relationship, or in this case, into the marriage. Because if, for example, the two of us are into one another and we're thinking of taking it a step further, marriage, and we cannot agree on these basic things, then we have a problem. Maybe perhaps we should not be thinking about getting married. We cannot address these issues and sort them out. So the number one, because of time, is usually around money. Second is about family.
Okay.
Where I have an appreciation that your mother brought you up, she trained you, she's been your lifesaver, so to speak. We need to have an understanding as to how do we address visitation of family members. Can I just come back from work one day and find your mother in the house? And by the way, my mom is around. She just turned up this afternoon and she's going to be with us for the next 1 month. There are some people, personally, I wouldn't have a problem with that. She's not going to be sleeping on my bed, is she? I personally don't have a problem with that, But some people would, because they didn't grow up that way. I grew up in a home where you could have your bed to yourself this morning before you go to school. By the time you come back in the evening, you're sharing your bed with 2 or 3 cousins. You could have a room to yourself, and you go away to school, and by the time you return for holiday, there are 4 cousins already living, occupying your bedroom. So I've grown up that way. I grew up in family. I grew up in that kind of a family where we're having functions. You give up your convenience of your room. You start to sleep on a mat in the living room.
Even your food.
Yeah, everything, all your convenience. But not everybody has experienced that. So one has to be conscious of that. Look, whereas I might have gone through that, and it's not a biggie for me to come back from work and find my mother-in-law or brother-in-law in the house and I'm told, by the way, they're even staying for 3 months, it might be a biggie for you because you've never experienced such. And you're thinking to yourself, why would you just turn off like that? I love your mom and all that, but reality is, surely you must have known ahead of time that mom was coming. You should have shared that with me. And to even that she's going to stay for a whole month or 3 months. You see, where I might tolerate it because I can't go out now, but there will be misbehavior in that respect. There'll be, because you never such. That's another thing that needs to be talked about and agreed upon as well ahead of time. We could think of so many things, but reality is this: nobody goes into a marriage, really, majority, to end up being in a puzzle with your partner, with your husband. These things develop over time, so many reasons. And when we say power tussle, I don't believe it's power tussle. It is me probably trying to express my misgivings or trying to retake control back, wrestle back control of some certain aspects of my life, of our relationship back from you. Whereas I might have allowed you to make decisions on so many things carelessly, I will get to a point, if for whatever reason I feel that is becoming detrimental to me, I will try to wrestle back that control from you. I'm using the term wrestle because nobody likes to give away control easily. So whereas you're in charge of everything, I'm now thinking to myself, you have not been doing a good job at managing this. I want to now be the one to manage it. It will take wrestling it back from you. But unfortunately, because most of us don't have agreements in place, you see, I like some of these Caucasians that have prenuptial agreements. For us as Africans, with this madness. How can you ask me to sign a prenup before we get married? Come on. You are married.
Are you saying like me and you, we're dating and we have an agreement? Can't we keep to it? Because I've realized a lot of people, it's easy to say, oh, for instance, you go to Celestia, maybe I go to Pentecostal. And before we get married, you already know where I worship, and you have no problem with it. So it's fine, it's fine. I'm not going to disturb you. You can continue to go to your white garment church. We already agreed on that. But after marriage, and this issue starts, you know. So are we going to say we have to put it on paper?
No, you see, it doesn't necessarily have to be in writing. But of course, because it and I read it, there will be a mental note of it. But she won't pass, sorry, this is what we agreed. Now, that example is a very good, a classical example. If we're together and there are no children involved, easy to manage. You go to your cell, I go to my Church of England. But when we now start asking, who are the children going to follow to church? And what are we going to teach children? You know, you want to start prayers with Jehovah, Jesus Christ, Holy Michael. I want to start my prayers with Father in the name of Jesus. It's that simple, but you might think it's so simple, but it's also a trigger, a major trigger. You might believe in candles, holding a candle to pray, incense, sprinkling of, sanctification water. And I do not believe in all of that because I attend the Church of England. You attend white garment service 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. I go to church 10, and by 11 I'm back home. The children are the mix. Which doctrine are the children going to follow? Then become contentious. So really, if you cannot reach a compromise on where you would worship, why bother getting? See, these are things we overlook. I can say to you, yeah, attend your cell, I will attend my Church of England. But reality is, in 10 years' time, when the children come in, or when we get to I become a Church of England, wouldn't they want to see my wife and my children in church, and I'm a priest? Or I become an Olusho in Sele. Shouldn't my
and your wife is never in the church?
Should they be in church with me? No, on a more serious note. So we might look at it today that we're in love, you got yourself, then it's easy. We don't live together. You go to your church, I go to my church. You do what you need to do in your home when you need to do it. What if I have a problem with incense? You all of a sudden I wake up one night and you start to and I smell incense all over the house. I wake up one night, there are 7 candles lit in my living room. It could freak me out
Holy
because I'm not.
Ghost.
Whereas I don't have an issue with you attending White Garment Church, I am not privy to the rudiments, the doctrines, and the way of worship in the White Garment Church. The same thing applies
Yes.
to Anglican or Pentecostal. All of a sudden, you find me speaking, you're wondering, is this man okay? You know, and you see these little things, we think they are trivial. But if only married people can keep a catalog of the things that cause trouble in the home, you will find that it's mostly not the things we think. There are these
Yes, they
little
are really trivial things.
question is
So do we say in summary of the causes is not having a proper agreement in place, number one,
well,
and not being honest.
yeah, I wouldn't use the term of being honest. Honesty is very strong. We can say number one, I agree with you, not touching on everything that one needs to touch on, not discussing those things. And in some cases, you might not even know that they can cause trouble. And this is where most of our African parents have failed us. And this is where we must not fail our children. They never discuss issues with us. And when they do, they just talk about it. Oh, your father has done this, your father, not your father. But they do not tell us the genesis of the issue. So, like I'm saying, I will, because of the challenges that I've had, I will sit my boy down and ask him, have you asked this question, that question, and then again this question? What response did you get? Not because I want to get involved in his life. When they get married, it's not a completely different game. It's on his own. But before he gets married, I have that responsibility to guide him and to help him to ask those pertinent questions, to find out things that he needs to, and to process the information to make an informed decision. Most times, they don't tell us that. All they will tell you is, don't bring back daily or better call kinche. Ìyàwó kì í ṣe naturally ọ̀pẹ̀ tọkọ ọba ní jẹ tó bá ṣe ọkọ máa dànù nìlà. Everybody knows that, but they don't mean it literally. You don't do what your husband doesn't like. You got to do this, those things, but they don't tell us the nitty gritty.
Using that same example you gave now, I'm going to break it down a little bit more. For example, like onjeti ogbale lekinje, what the husband doesn't eat, the wife shouldn't cook it. But having understanding, it's a proverb that we're coming from 2 different backgrounds. We're coming from 2 different orientations. The way I say things, I perceive things is different from the way he perceives his. But I believe I want to eat my apple by peeling the skin before chewing it. He believes he wants to blend it and then just drink it as a smoothie. Those are 2 different perspectives. Doesn't mean mine is wrong or his is wrong, but we just choose to eat it in different ways. Now, because I know that's the way he likes it, I won't feed it to him, by peeling the skin, because I know he doesn't like it that way. So I'm going to make it a smoothie for him. That's what the proverb is saying. But in some other things, it has to be 2 ways. It's not only about what the husband wants or what the man wants. That's why I said about agreement in place and honesty. We need, first of all, to be honest with ourselves and with our partners. What you would not want somebody else to do to you, I believe you shouldn't do it to your partner, just in the name of I'm the husband. Well, you want respect, you want love. It also should be the other way around.
I think there's this misconception, and I don't know where this comes from, that the men usually the authoritarian ones in the family. I have seen a lot of men that tremble at the presence. I have seen men that will come back from work and will sit in their car, in their driveways, wait to go in to their home. I have been on calls with friends, men, grown-up men in their early 50s, that their wife will come in and will go, what you do? I saw later, trembling. But you see, because men don't talk, we don't talk about things like that
Maybe they should start talking.
Because we find it very embarrassing. What you will find is mostly women on talking about these things. Men shy away from such things. So now we believe that it's mostly women men are the ones suffering this the most. For example, the thing about Wilkins, I knew before I married my ex-wife that she does not eat fish. But I didn't know it was as bad as she would not even touch it, talk less cook it. The smell of it irritates her. It makes her throw up. It is that bad. Holding fish will throw up. But I knew she'd never liked fish. I never had a problem with me eating a meal with fish therein. So I know whenever I visited, it would have to be beef, and I didn't have a problem with it. If I needed fish, I would sort myself out in my home. Now we got married, and I've experienced that she will not even touch it or cook it. Solution is easy. I go and order fish and bring it home and serve myself if I am that keen on having fish. And that way, there is no issue at home. In fact, I suggested it as a good idea, and she would always place the order for it. So, in a sense,
that is compromise.
In a sense, I will still get what I want, but in a different way around. But it will be very irresponsible and inconsiderate of me to insist and say, you are my wife, you must cook it because it's what I like. It is,
and that's where the power tussle comes in. Wanting to use your power and your authority. It has to be this, it has to be that, but not putting your partner into consideration.
Yeah. And
just like you have explained now.
When we talk about power, when I say to men who care to listen these days, a friend of mine, one friend was lamenting, I think it was 2 weekends ago, I will not take this nonsense. And I allowed him finish, and I just interjected and said, well, Mr. Landlord, the day they call police on you will realize making Shelia. The day they take you to court for divorce, you realize that your money is not really your money. So I said to him, look, be a wise man and you will save yourself a lot of pain. And just accept that the day you agreed to marry and to start having children, you lost a bit of your life, of yourself. You are now living for your family. So the minute you appreciate that this house that I'm paying for is not for me, it's for my wife and my children. I'm just the one that pays. You will save yourself a lot of pain and a lot of drama.
And that's just the truth, though.
That's the truth. Okay, what's the big deal? Okay, I always forget to bring the seats down because I'm a man. We don't put to the back.
That's a common one.
Okay, but really, to be honest with you, as a woman, this is a question I've asked my own sister too. Question I asked her is, what's the big deal bringing it back down for him? No, seriously. It takes a second. Why make
but what is the big deal in him also putting it down in the first place?
Because he forgets. So the same question I would want to turn around and ask the same my sister is this. What's the big deal in you stopping at a station to fill up your tank? Why must you bring it almost empty home all the time? And this man has to go fill it up for you. You see, we help one another out. So if I'm struggling with that, and there's an area you are struggling, and I'm covering your back, why would you not make a big deal out of nothing? This
vice versa.
Question is, does it affect life? Does it affect our well-being? Does it, is it that much of a big deal for me to cause chaos in my room because my wife usually forgets to close the living? See, you find out that the things we make a big deal about, he forgets his shoes in the living room. Now, your son does no, your son does it all the time. He is a teenager now. He's gradually becoming a man. But you'll find that mothers are happy enough to pick up the shoes. They will lament and all that, but pick it up and still take it to his room.
But not for the daddy.
But if it's the husband, all hell will go loose.
Because he's more matured, he's expected to know better.
No, not necessarily. Why do you think, in the overall scheme of things, if my shoe in the living room, who's that going to kill? Overall scheme.
It's not going to kill anybody. But, when you're living on your own, probably I'm also living on my own, we do things the way we like. I put my undies where I like. I sleep on my bed. If I like, I'll make my bed. If I like, I'll make it. I'll sleep on it like that. I can choose to be on my phone till I sleep off. But when you now become two and there is a complaint, for instance, listen, woman, I don't like you, like my partner made a rule. We became a law in the house, actually. When you are in the bed, no phone. It became a law. I said, okay, maybe you need to print it and put it on the wall somewhere. Do you understand? Because he doesn't like it. But because I'm living on my own, I'm comfortable with being on my phone 24/7. Either I'm chatting or I'm doing something, whatever. But the fact that he has said he doesn't like it, there has to be compromise. So bit by bit, I get off the habit.
But
so it's about compromise, really.
Yeah, let's address something quickly there. If as a man he tells you I don't like this, and your initial response, rather sarcastically, will be, why don't you write it and let's print it on the door? The man will get
No. That was afterwards.
Yeah,
no. We now turn to a joke.
Yeah, even at that. But the question is, why each day phone should not come into the bedroom, or you shouldn't be using the phone when you're in bed? But really, you are in bed with your husband. Your private time, away from the children, away from work, away from everything, and the only thing you think fit to do of all the things that can be done in the bedroom is to go on the phone. No, on a more serious note. But this is the same you that would have complained that he spent 2 hours watching football in the living room, watching football. But now you get
and when he's watching the football, it's either you're watching the football together, or you're cooking, or you're doing something else.
Exactly.
But the point I'm making is this: it's not about the habit itself, but about the fact that there is a complaint, which is the same thing as you putting off your shoe in the living room. There is a complaint. So it's about we making a physical, or what's the word now? Making up your mind. A conscious effort to make change, to please your partner, to avoid unnecessary bickering and issues. So it's not just about you anymore, like you said earlier on. So if taking off my shoe from the room, then go back, take it. I'll use my phone 5 minutes. My guy is looking at me quickly, the phone is over. Making conscious efforts to make each other happy. Just with the toilet seats, may be no big deal, but there is a complaint. I'm a woman. I don't want to sit and I don't want to sit on your urine. So if you cannot clean the seat, then leave the seat off. And your woman is complaining the first time, the second time, the third time. Before she becomes a nagging woman, make an effort. It's not the woman alone that when the Bible says the word submission, it's not speaking to the woman alone. Don't say, it's my house, I'm the man, I can do what I like, and what are you going to do about it? We need to submit one to another. So about, okay, my woman doesn't like it. I am doing it now. You see, I did not we on the seats, and she'll be like, oh, thank you. she will appreciate it. So the same way you will go to her, look, listen, the other time you were on the phone for 30 minutes, I don't like it. What are you saying that much? You understand? You're also making an effort to cut down your time on the phone. So it's all about what is more important, the joy in the home, or you and your partner bickering at each other every now and then, and making an issue out of nothing when it can be avoided.
Correct. Correct. But
We can avoid it.
I always say this to people as well. Choose your battle wisely. Choose your battles wisely. You should not pick on every single thing just because you are that observant. Choose your battle wisely.
Overlooking some certain things.
Overlook certain things if they are not. If I have OCD and I like to have my pen and things lined up, and I come in and it's been moved, why don't I just move it back where I want it to be? And then I move away from there without complaining. Let's learn to choose our battles wisely. Why should the placement of toilet roll, the way some would like to turn it the other way around, so you're picking from the back, pulling the tissue from the back, some want it from the front. And you know, it amazes me how that now becomes a major issue, that we do not talk to one another in the home for 2 days because of that. In the overall scheme of things, in the overall scheme of, we are not fighting over the progress of our children, over my child has to attend Harvard, or no, it's Oxford, or it's Cambridge. Or we are not bothered about such things. We are not quarreling or debating who we should have our pension pot with. We're not arguing or debating over our health. You see, I can tolerate it if you're arguing with me, saying, stop drinking physically. It's not good for you at this age. You know, it's not good for you at this age. You care about me and you're worried about my future. You don't want to be nursing me in the old age. Those are other things, important things. We're not worried about our spiritual well-being. Look, we are no longer praying in this home like we used to pray. We don't longer fast like we used to. We don't make out time for Bible study anymore. And in the overall scheme of things, it didn't bring down the toilet seat. Hence, we brought down the roof. Are we okay? Are we all right? No, are we okay? Okay, I'm making a fuss. My wife didn't serve me properly the food on the dining table and everything. In the overall scheme of things, at least she's giving me food. She's giving me food. If you go to a restaurant where you will pay hundreds of pounds, the service might not be altogether what you expect it to be, but will you not still pay? So this, I just think we benefit of hindsight. So many of us look back and we think maybe we could have managed things a lot better. And the problem I see now, especially, and I keep saying this for those of us that are Christians, we don't have workshops or seminars like this in church where we can talk about real life itself. We've not quoted a single scripture, but everything we have spoken on for the last, 40 to 50 minutes, you will find reference to them in the Bible. But we're not all here saying,
in the Bible, of course.
Paul says this and that. Come on. But let's have honest discussions about life. There's a reason why the Bible tells the older women in the church to mentor the younger women and train them. But unfortunately, what we find now is they are teaching them the ways to deal with the husband. Is that what the Bible expects us to teach the younger one? So what the woman even gets into her home, money at home, into her home, she's already has this mindset that
so she's already going with a fight in her mind.
Exactly. And the man too is saying to the son as well, you have to be a man. You have to go ground. Oh God, oh God, oh God, oh she. Come on. So the man is going into the marriage already
And if the
thinking
two of
that,
you don't bad, then who is going to bad then?
thinking to himself that he's an emperor of some sort, and expecting that when he coughs, everybody will catch cold, you know, because he's the emperor. That's what he was told, and that's what he sees his uncles doing. But what is the place of the older ones saying to people, look, be gentle, be tender. Tete parija, tete be, tete parija. You're not guilty, you're not at fault. Sorry, famora, be. Look, you might think you're being a fool, but this thing will save you a lot of wahala. I have seen people who have gotten divorced and all they've worked for in 20 years with the stroke of a pen gone. Mental health issues being addressed for another 5 to 10 years. A lot of damage caused, all because we have not chosen our battles. I say to people now, if it is not affecting the safety of your family, don't make a fuss about it. If it's not affecting the mental well-being of the family, if it's not affecting the spiritual well-being of the family, why make a fuss about it? Allow yourself to be helped. So we go back to the initial point where we started. There has to be discussions about the modus operandi of that relationship, of the marriage, before you go into it. There has to be counseling, but not counseling as we currently know it. Most of us are damaged goods even before we get to the point of marriage. We're damaged goods already. A lady that has never experienced love in her life, in her home, treated badly by her father or maybe by her sibling or by boyfriends in uni, to go into marriage before healing. What do you think she's carrying that baggage to marriage? A man that has been married before and divorced, has been dealt with badly by his ex, that has not found healing yet, wants to get married.
He's going to be always on the edge, protecting himself.
Exactly. Exactly. So we need the counseling, we need therapy. I say to people is, don't even bother going to see your pastor. Go to a shrink. Go to a shrink. You might say, hey, God, I don't know why.
Before we continue, I just want to appreciate everyone who has joined and you're sharing as well. God bless you all. Please, it's not a one-way traffic program. Do leave your comments if you don't want to join in, but if you want to come in and share your view and opinion, do let me know, then I'll bring you up on that. But I want us to look at arguments in the family, in the relationship. For what I've come to learn, I believe in, because I believe, I'm holding up this pen. I know it's a pen, and I know it's red in color, red and black. Now, I'm having a discussion with my partner, and my partner is saying, no, it's not red, it's orange. That becomes an argument. No, because I'm sure what I'm saying, I can see clearly. But for whatsoever reason, from his own perspective, from the angle he's looking at it, he's seeing it as orange. And then we continue like, no, it's red, no, it's orange. No, it's red, no, it's orange. I've come to learn at some point, you know what? I don't need to drag this no more. As long as I know in my heart of heart that I don't have any impairment in my eyes, I know that I'm seeing correctly and I know it's red. That's okay for me. That I've come to learn. And that has given me a lot of peace and brought a lot of decorum in the home. Okay, I know it's red, but if you do not accept it as red, that's fine. And I think if we all take that on board, it will help a lot, because you're just trying to explain what you believe in so dearly and so convincingly. But before you know it, it begins to seem like a power tussle. Are you trying to tell me you know better than me? You know, those kind of words begins to come in. You are trying to prove you are smart. You are trying to prove you know. So just to avoid all those things, I just like, yeah, you are right. It's orange. But I know
Yeah,
it's
but
red. So
that
why
has
should I keep
down.
going on and on and on about it?
Whilst I agree with you, I would say 99.9% that sometimes it's just not what the it's just not what debating. You just go, I know it's red, I know it's red and black. Your problem, I move on. It's not a big deal. But there comes a time if that particular issue, yeah, is going to cause a lot more wahala by you just accepting, that it is what it is. For example,
Oh, that's a different ball game entirely.
exactly. So, for example, if we say to you, it is not what you think it is, but you know that it is what you are seeing it to be. And the fact that he is not seeing it, you're going to have a problem in future. That could affect your family, affect your home and all that. Yes, I agree with you. There's no point in arguing with him. He will still not understand it. Then seek help. But I beg you in God's name, do not seek help from family. Do not seek help from friends. And I know if some people are
They'll be
listening now,
biased.
they'll probably hate me. Do not seek help from church, especially our African Nigerian churches. They don't know any better. They don't know. They'll tell you, Ayeni, go to professionals. They are professional counselors who have been skilled and trained in the art of discerning or deciphering what exactly the root cause of the issue. Most of us, all we see is what we see. We don't have the skill to dig beyond the surface to understand what the root cause is, to understand that it's not actually the fact that you spent the money that is annoying to this guy.
That's the
It's the
problem.
fact that he even asked you, and you said something else that is the problem. But for anybody who just looks at it on the surface, who doesn't have skills to analyze such things, we just keep hammering on a kidney big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the amount, even if it's a
And
the fact
there's another thing, especially within our community, that believe in when it comes to relationship, when you want to
yes,
interfere between couples, don't do that. You cannot just, say, oh, this one is right or this one is wrong, because at the end of the day, you don't want them to use you to make peace. And then you'll be seen as the bad person. So even the people you go to, they're not going to be 100% honest with you. While a professional is not really bothered about how you feel, but
he has
solution.
no vested, interest. He will tell you as it is. He will tell yeah, the professional will tell you as it is. He will tell you as it is. Now, when we talk about, when we're not having this tussle in the home, one thing with benefit of hindsight that I've come to realize is words are very powerful. So I'm angry with you now. We're having this, and I start to use some words. You see, you might forget about what we were debating about, but those words
And
will
hold
stay
on to
with you.
that word.
You're such an irresponsible woman. All we kept with you is just 1,000. You only had this one thing to do, and you still failed at it. So you will forget at some point what we were
Fake
debating.
and
But
unresponsible.
those words of mine will stay with you. You might pretend until it is addressed. If I do not come to apologize, you might think you've forgotten about it, you've moved on. Until the next time when I'm now counting on you to stand in the gap and fulfill the responsibility on behalf of the family. Then our dear Shemisha, maybe told me, and so many women also turn around. I've heard a guy say to his wife before, look, this is unusual in the UK, but I'm doing it. I pay the bills 100% in this home, mortgage everything, give you feeding hours, I do everything. And the woman turns around and tells the man, "Can it big deal?" And you say to the
Wow.
man, "What's the big deal?" The man will just smile, he will go away. But now, tell me how you expect such a man that has been working his ass out, flying all over the world, just to make sure his family can live a certain quality of life. And the wife turns around because he's just saying, look, madam, I'm trying my best now, but I'm doing this. And you say, what's the big deal? He will not forget it. He will not forget it. And then you will have a debate tomorrow over money. But why can't you pay for this? You used to pay for it. And he might not tell you the reason why he's now challenging you, but it's in his mind because he still remembers it. This is where the professionals
You know,
come in.
sometimes it's not that, sometimes, sorry to cut you, it's not that the person hasn't forgiven or the person hasn't moved on, but it's just stuck somewhere in his mentality. Peradventure, maybe when the person was growing up, he's been told often and often that he's a failure or irresponsible. Now this person is married to you. There is an issue and you're bringing that up again. You're a failure. You're not responsible. And then he's going to go back to all the things he's been hearing. And then they've forgiven you. You've even apologized. They've moved on. But psychologically, they haven't moved on. You've brought back all those memories of being a failure. And unintentionally, they end up acting like a failure. You know, they begin to be irresponsible around the home. And you're like, what's going on? But you've forgotten you have sowed that seed. You have brought them into that cocoon. You brought them to that level, and they're operating according to the confession you've placed upon their life. For example, maybe you have a partner, a woman, who is a little bit financially buoyant than you, and is very supportive. Before you say, oh, we don't have electricity, she has paid. Before you say, oh, is the food running down? She's filled the house with food, you know? And then there is a fight, and you are like, is it because you have a little bit of money more than me? Is that why it's getting to your head? She'll be like, oh, really? And then you've apologized later on, you've moved on. But she will consciously and unconsciously begin to reduce the financial support she gives. And then that will not come back to be another issue again. You know, because she doesn't want to seem like she's doing shakara or anything. You know, because you've brought it out as an issue. So, like what you're saying, when there are issues, we really, really, really need to be careful. The things we say, how we say it, because forgiveness don't cover them all at once. It doesn't. They affect in big way.
Yes.
It affects mentally, it affects in so many ways.
In rounding off, I think we need to start educating ourselves in our community, the BAME community, that there is nothing wrong in seeking help from professionals. There's nothing wrong in you going to see a shrink, a psychologist, a psychotherapist, whatever they may be called these days. There is absolutely nothing wrong in going to see them. Now, you've given an example of somebody that all of our life has been seen as a failure, and in some cases too has failed, hopefully in some. And then you who are the and that you're meant to provide like a haven, a succor for her, a place of refuge. Because of annoyance, you have now called her a failure, a useless person. Out of anger, you might not really mean it, but out of anger. Tell me how such a woman can fully heal up and recover without help. Number one, somebody needs to spend time with a professional to go and address the issues from when she was growing up. All the failures in her life to date, find healing, and then address the one you have just done now and teach her how to deal with it going forwards. But until that is done, you will find that in that person's life or in the home, things will not be 100% again. They will never be, you will never get the best out of that. And the same applies to us men. We bottle up so much. There's nothing wrong in going to sit 30 minutes with a therapist and they just let you talk. They listen to you, they decipher you, and they tell you, we think this is your problem. We think this is the root cause. You need to go and deal with this first, and then you will find a place of peace. So in rounding off, if we find ourselves in such a marriage and or relationship that things have gotten to that point that we seem to be tossing for power within ourselves. We can't seem to reach an agreement over very simple things. We're always at loggerheads. Things that do not go to family, do not go to friends. Please try not to go. Avoid church if you can. Go and seek for a professional who will deal with it from a non-biased and an objective perspective, and will help you get the root cause of your issues, and not just what we seem to see. Most times we don't even know what the issue is. We don't even know sometimes, most times. We don't know what the issue is. I think that's the comment. When women cover...
Yeah, Princess Feyikemi Orlando. She said, when women cover most financial issue at home, most men think it's our responsibility. Oh, wow.
In addressing that, it depends on who the man is, kind of person he is. If he's
not
a
really an
responsible
African man who don't really make it your responsibility.
My dear sister, you'll be shocked. You will be shocked and alarmed. And we think it's only our generation. You will think it's only our generation, but go and ask most of our mothers. They will tell you that most of our fathers that will think are responsible for things at home were not actually responsible for them. The women were covering up for them. So we're actually, I will be the one to buy you the new shoe. We tell you so that you have some measure of respect for your father. But
for your father. That's true.
We start to observe others. We start to decide now. But women in our own generation will not support you in that minimal right. If your wife is helping to foot the bill in the home, majority of it, because she can afford to, then please do not take her for granted. Do not take her for granted. Be appreciative of her, because in some sense you have swapped roles. So she has become, in some sense, the fruit. Really. Oh, anything to the family. No, seriously. Rather than appreciate the woman, and whilst you're trusting God to lift you up and get you back on your feet, you provide as much support as you possibly can to the woman, as a form of saying thank you. I appreciate you for fulfilling this, stepping into my shoes to help me. Because really, it's not our responsibility. It's your responsibility as a man. It is your responsibility as a man.
In honest truth, in honest truth, there's no crime in the woman helping, like you said, but there has to be a balance. And honestly, there are so many men. Things have changed. I don't understand what is happening in this year and age. You see a lot of women bringing in more money, in so many homes. But the issue and the problem comes in when the man begins to feel insecure, begin to feel inferiority, because the woman is bringing in more money. Then there's going to be a power tussle there. There's going to be a lot of discrimination and putting the woman down, even though she's doing all her best and doing your duty plus her duty. In such situation, how do we help such women? How do we counsel such a man to bring down their ego, for crying out loud?
I think there are two sides to it. Number one, the man has a major problem. God has sent you an angel, somebody to help you. And you think the best thing for you to do is to talk down such a woman? What if she withdraws the funds from you? Because in the first place, she's not under an obligation to support you. You see, I don't know what it says in the Quran, but what the Bible says that the woman is a helpmeet, which means she's somebody that will stand every now and then. But you hold the responsibility. A man that is unable to provide for his family, the Bible says, is worse than. It is the number one.
Worse than an infidel.
But if the woman now steps in because she's a virtuous woman and wants to help you and cover the naked family by, helping you to fulfill some of the best thing you can do is to appreciate such a woman. Now, if you get yourself to a point where you become uncomfortable, and you should, as a man, be very uncomfortable if you find yourself in that space. What you should be doing is trying to find a way to, you know, get to, but also, and especially for those of us that live in the Western world, I did say this on, I think it is Maria's show. I think you were on that show as well, a few weeks ago. I give an example of a friend of mine that all he could afford was his council 2-bedroom apartment in Barking. He got married. The wife was making good money. She's a midwife, making good money. Now she was trying to convince this guy that there are better colleges and schools in Chelmsford, so they should move to Chelmsford. And guess what? They should go and buy a 4-bedroom house. Mortgage at the end of the month will be about 1,700. All the guy is paying for his 2-bedroom council apartment.
Who's gonna be paying?
It's less than £400. So you want to go and buy a 4-bedroom
Which he can afford.
Because she says she will augment. So I said to him, Paddy, that sort of family you might be new. But I have an issue with this because you are the man. Can you afford to pay the mortgage if your wife stops working tomorrow? Let's say she gets pregnant and for whatever reason, she cannot work. Can you afford? He goes, no, then don't do it. Wait till such a time when you can afford it before you do it. And some men, I think he didn't listen to me. He went ahead. He bought the house and everything. He just started. Because the woman is the one paying the mortgage and everything. When police came, he had to vacate the property. Because she's the one paying for the property. He's not feeling bad, but he set himself up. And when you allow a woman to take that responsibility, consciously or unconsciously, you become too relaxed, too cavalier. You don't want to work extra hard. You don't want to do 2 jobs, 3 jobs, because you think if you only one pay, we'll cover it. It should never, never be the so. But for the women as well, if you find yourself in that position where you are the one sustaining the family because God has given you the grace so to do. Most women are nurses, midwives, they get bank work and everything, and most men do maybe security and all that. Be mindful of the fact that your man will get a bit touchy and to be uncomfortable with you being the one footing the bill. So just be cautious and be mindful how you present things. For example, if I am to sustain my father and help my father to meet some of his obligations, I will still not lose respect for him because he's my father. That's what they shake away from me now, even when the woman.
Now, I'm going to pause you where you just got to now. You know, even if the woman has the upper hand, showing respect and all, I'm going to say this, and this is just the truth. No matter how humble a woman is, no matter how submissive, no matter how virtuous that woman is, because naturally, by instinct, by nature, by whatever, it is not our duty to be dishing out money. It's not our duty to pay the rent, to be doing all those things. There is a limit to which our endurance can go. There's a limit to which our virtuousness can take us. Even though you don't say it verbally like, otisumi, and you don't even say it in your attitude, otisumi. But somehow you begin to say, maybe before you used to release £50 extra to cover. Suddenly it will drop to 40 because you're trying to send a message. And then it will drop to 30. Daddy, share me. You know,
I don't
because naturally it is not for us.
You can't blame the woman, even for
but
us
there's
men.
some men who cannot do more than one job.
No, but you know, even for us men, that it is by default our responsibility. We lament. Sometimes you just go, so if a man that it is his responsibility to fulfill can lament, why should you expect that a woman to do lament? As a man,
the woman is not expected to lament. If the woman laments, it is called not being submissive. It is called being rude. It is called being arrogant.
It depends on the man. You see, the way some of us respond, some will look at that woman and say, well, I know you shouldn't be doing this. it might be no, to change. Things will soon change. You know, no woman will hear that and will still go crazy, except that woman too, only problem. But when you now look at the woman, then the woman will go mad at you. It's the same way when you say to a man whose responsibility it is, and you say, what's the big deal? He will naturally get offended. So now talk less of a woman that is not her responsibility helping. I think we need to start talking sense to ourselves. When I was growing up, my parents were members of a society from our hometown in Ijebu. They do it by age, you know, and they have that group. And I've been privy to listen to some of the things they talk about. Some of these men will ask their fellow men, why are you like this? They tell one another off. Question is,
do we have this again?
What kind of friendship do we have this day and age? Am I teaching my friend and saying to him, the family, careful, think about yourself, hide some money from your wife? Or am I saying to him, well done, you're doing a good job as a man, you are motivating me, I think I should learn from you and start to do more? The same for women. You're lamenting, this thing, and your friend is saying to you, my friend, you know your husband is not like that. If he were to be like that, you wouldn't have married him in the first place. It will get better. Or is the friend saying, follow you, let's see what will happen. That is the problem. Yeah, it's not one size fits all. It is peculiar to each family and each sex. It is peculiar. There are women that have said to their husband, like the example of my friend, that don't worry, I will foot the bill for this 4-bedroom house. Oh, sure, she says yes. And then she's lamenting that she's the one covering everything. But you said you would. You said you would. Although the man should not have accepted, but they had an arrangement between themselves, and it worked for a few years until Ibatija did away. But it's not one size fits all. Just it's on individual basis, case by case, really, case by. Are there any other comments?
Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you very much. Nothing really touching like that.
They appreciated. We bring a lot more to the because of African. In fairness, women do a whole lot more. Women do a whole lot more than we just bring the money, but they do all the work.
Put in a lot.
A lot. In fairness to them, a lot.
Everyone wants to be appreciated here and there, now and then, you know, and there's no crime in it. When you appreciate somebody, they will do more. You say, so a woman that is doing a lot and you are praising her and praising her, she won't be weary of doing more. So when she wants to be like, I'm tired, Jairo to sue me. Oh, my dear, Oshe, Okutojule, you are doing very well. That tiredness will go. Her spirit will be lifted and she wants to do more. You know, we all need it, even for the man. Men too need it. The man goes to work also just like he go to work. They bring a lot into the family. They also need, my husband, thank you very much. I saw you were the one that did the dishes yesterday. Wow, I'm so surprised. I really, really appreciate you. You know, help you in the kitchen. Thank you for helping me. Oh, you bought me the new trainers. Oh, I love you, even though you have 1 million trainers. Is it sort of buying one extra to appreciate you? Then the man also needs to be appreciated. We all need appreciation. To run up, I'm going to give this scenario. We'll talk about this and then we'll close it for today, which is a true life story of one aunt I used to know in a Pentecostal church. She was a minister. The husband was a pastor. And the husband said to her categorically, you will never be greater than me. Why? Because then she was also doing a business. She was working and she now went back to school or something. And the husband was like, you have to stop going to school. You cannot be greater than me in this house. How do we deal with such a power tussle?
It's a very tricky one. I think the man has the complex of why should I? Okay, I'll use another example of a friend. The wife was an accountant, and then she was struggling with getting work as an accountant. So she decided she was going to go train at what these people that do X-ray, what are they called? He writes down the medical term for it. The ones that do our X-ray when we go to the hospital and everything. And she was going to go for training, and the husband refused completely. Why would you go to school? Who's going to take children? What time would you? And the lady tried to explain to them. So I called my friend and said, "Paddy, kini main problem, Kono? Because she's going to be getting bursary, and she made arrangements for the children. What exactly is your problem?" I think, the minute she finishes now, they will put them on band 6. Any case will give her a brand new car. Yeah, she'll be making money, bank and everything. Before you know what's happening, they will start competing in this house because she. So that is the reason you do not want your wife to make progress. I said to him, look, I had an uncle back then. When the wife retired as a secondary school principal, he put some money together that the children gave her, started a nursery and primary school, which became a high school.
I remember that story.
She ended up being a multi-millionaire. So much so that when my uncle retired, my uncle just crossed his leg and said, you need that to para me more. But had he stopped her from starting, do you think he will get to that point where he can relax? My prayer is that my wife should be a multi-millionaire, should be industrious, so much so that I have this confidence within me that, God forbid, if for whatever reason I'm unable to fulfill one obligation or the other, my wife can step in. If for whatever reason, all I can afford to in terms of tuition is for my child to attend the University of East London, and my wife is that buoyant that she said, look, we can afford Harvard, then God be praised. I will not be cavalier and become careless and irresponsible and not want to work hard. In fact, it will become a motivation for me. If my wife can go back to school and make something of her life after having 3-4 children, why can I not do the same? But the question is, most of these men that think that way don't have plans of becoming anything in life, and they want to hold back the woman. So if few of us got together,
they are comfortable where they are.
Yeah. So a few of us childhood friends got together and said to my friend's wife, go to school or be that. If it's going to throw you out of the home, let him do it. Go to school. Fast forward 5 years later, they give her a brand new Citroen indeed. And guess who drives the Citroen around most weekends? It's my friend.
The husband.
He's the one that drives the 70 Reg around most weekends. This is the man that was complaining 5 years before that he will get a new car. I don't understand where when I hear that men have an issue with their wives doing well. Wallahi, I will support the woman 100%. In fact, I'm too yours alone. Because I will say to her, come on, try, Range Rover now. But then he will be multi-millionaire. So why can't I drive? So I don't understand why men have a problem with
that. Princess Feyi Kemi Orlando said, tell you guys something. My husband said to me, if I die today, my kids will not suffer. God bless him. Men should support us no matter what. And that's just the truth, like Minister Shem has been saying since. If your wife is a go-getter, and for whatever reason you are comfortable in your comfort zone, at the end of the day, whatever your woman becomes, as long as she's still bearing your name, it is your glory. Whatever your children become successful, it is your name, it is your glory. So you should do everything as much as possible to push your wife, to support your wife. Not only in saying, okay, go ahead, even in the home. Oh, don't worry, I'll look after the kids, you can go and study. I'm running late. You want to help? Okay, I'll do the cooking today so that she can meet up, you know. And every woman who is lucky to have such a man should not take them for granted. Because men like that are few. They are very few. So if you are lucky to have such a woman, such a man rather, appreciate them. Do not abuse the opportunity and the room they give you. For instance, I'm into ministry. If I say, God said I should go and preach here tomorrow, my partner is like, okay, where are we going? He does not mind carrying the camera and doing recording for me. At the end of the day, when I get home, I go on my knees and say, thank you for your support. Because without him, it wouldn't have been that easy for me. And I also want him to help me more. So I will appreciate him for today, so that tomorrow he will not feel like, shape what the cameraman and what an insult. So if you can humble himself and support me in ministry, I'm telling you, the way we human beings we reason, always shaking it gone. But when you appreciate and you make the people feel valued, they will not see what they are doing as demeaning. Like, even if you're just carrying the camera, we all have our parts. We all cannot be vocal and be holding the microphone. The person beating the drum, the person driving the car. Like the last time I went to Nigeria, we went to minister in a place in Ibadan. By the time we came back, we had to take the car straight to the mechanic. All these it was that bad. So for a man who put his car on the road and the car has to go to mechanic, am I not supposed to appreciate such a man? Anybody putting you understand? So we need to value ourselves. Somebody sent a note here and says, what about the husband that does not support because they pay for house rent? Now, what about the husband that does not support because they pay for house rent?
What about the husband?
When we say support, in which way?
Okay.
So meaning that it's not limited to just paying house rent. When you pay house rent, support with like maybe the children. Yeah, go on, sir.
Yeah. There was a time when I felt that because I was footing the bill in the home, paying for everything 100%, so much so that we even had our pairs covering up and everything, I thought I have done all that I should do as a man, and it is left to the missus to sort out everything. But I thank God there was this elder that Shegun in church that helped me make that comment one day. I said to me, Mr. Man, so on my one call, are you not going to develop a relationship with your children? So if you never bathe your
very
child,
important.
Shouldn't you have the experience as a man that I bathed my child, that I've changed my child's nappy once, I've cooked for my children, I've taken them to the park, I have taken them to school, I do school runs, I take them swimming, and it says, look, because you fulfill those obligations does not mean you should not be a part of running your home. He said you will be like a man that has invested millions in setting up a factory, an industry, and then goes to sit at home thinking that the employees will run the industry for him like clockwork. He needs to be there to see things happen. And so I learned from that, and I started to get involved in the life of my children, bathing them, cleaning them, doing stuff like. And also, what about the wife? Okay, I put money down. The things she does, can I do them? Can I multitask like she does? Okay, we both go to work, Abi. We both come back from work. She takes care of the children. We both go to work. We come back, dinner, everything she has to prepare. And again, she's thinking of what the children will wear to school tomorrow, the party they have on Saturday, the clothes they will wear, so many things. We men need to get to that point that it's not just about the money. The money is important. It shows our commitment. If you can put money into your family, it shows you're committed to your family. But you need to go beyond that. You need to make out time for your missus. If I can't cook as she's cooking, shouldn't I stay in the kitchen with her? and share up, like we used to do with our mom. My mom forced me to learn how to cook. You will stay in the kitchen with my mom. Do everything. If I can do that with my mom, why can I not do that with my wife? Why can I not spend time with my children? So it's not just about the money. If there's any man listening to this that thinks, some of us learned it the hard way, that thinks that is the end of it. Is not the end of it. In fact, it's the very beginning of it. Develop a relationship with your children. Know your children. Sit down in the living room with them. Understand, see what they watch on TV. Understand them. Find out what makes them happy. Try to understand them. Sometimes allow the missus to go out partying with her friends. You stay with the children. I bet if any man was to stay with the children for a whole weekend, Friday into Sunday, and the wife is not at, when the wife comes back on Sunday, I remember the very first time my children came over to spend the weekend with me after I moved home. It was like the longest 3 days of my life. It was the longest. The 3 days were like a whole month. It is sad when you have your child with you and you're thinking, she's Sunday, it's day. And then Sunday comes, you're thinking, it's only 3 o'clock. I still have to 7 p.m. About the 7 p.m. my day. And you just feel like going to lock yourself up in the toilet in the high day. And you know what? When they left that weekend, my attitude and my mentality changed towards the sense that, but this woman deals with this day in, day out. I only have them for 2 nights, and it's like my world is about to crash. So I think we should start having that experience for most men. Wife go away with her friends for the weekend. You stay with the children for the weekend. When she comes back home on Sunday, you will learn to appreciate her.
Thank you very much, sir. On that note, if we see or notice or realize, I'm using all those 3 words all together. Depends on which one you decide to choose. It's something that's been happening from time memorial, and it's still happening, and it will continue to happen if we don't change the narrative. And that is the fact that you see children being drawn more to their mothers. You see children looking after their mothers more, showing more love, buying them more gifts. Anything is mommy, 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 mommy. Mommy, I got you ticket for this. Mommy, I got you gift for this. And you wonder why. And one of the reasons, and actually, if I'm going to be honest, one of the main reasons is what we just said now. Because the fathers are not involved in their daily living. Because the father just dropped the house rent, school fees, and then they think it's over. Some fathers can never say, maybe I've, for once, gone to the cinema with their children, or even gone to play football. There is no, that interaction, no relationship. Their son cannot come and say, Mom or Daddy, I have a gist for you. Or there was this lady. You can't even come and discuss girlfriend with your dad. No relationship. And I would say it's not 100% their fault. It is what has been laid down for them. It's what they have seen. It's what they didn't have relationship with their father. And they have not made that conscious decision to change the narratives. So I'm saying this to every man or anyone that will come across this video, male or female, change the narratives in your family, in your generation. If there is something that you miss, maybe you were never shown enough love or compassion, your father never said, I love you to you, your mom doesn't say anything right in whatever you've done, you might even still be holding grudges. You need to let go. You need to forgive. And you need to change the narrative for your children so that their generation will be better than yours. So men out there, please be more involved with your children. Don't say, oh, because she's a girl, I don't know how to talk to her, go to your mommy. There is the way you were toasting the woman now. There was a way you toasted your wife. So she's a woman too. There's some things you can still talk to her. Talk to her about men. Talk to her about life. Talk to her about growing up. So if she has a makeup, oh, I like your makeup, or your makeup is too much. The same way you see women put on makeup and like, say it to her. Be modest. Oh, I love this hairstyle. Which salon are you going? I'll give you money to the salon. I will take you to the salon. So if you, as the daddy, the daughter sees you, that you show her love, you pamper her, you care for her, definitely she's not going to marry a man that will not care for her. Because daddy has shown her what love is, what caring is, what it means to be passionate about someone. You've never taken your daughter to the salon, and then you want another man to do that to her. So I really, really urge us, by the mercies of Christ, that we should try and make more effort to make the next generation better. And God help us all. And if there is any last note from my brother Shane tonight.
It's just around seeking help, therapy is really important. We should never as Africans be shy to admit that you have a problem and you go and seek help. But again, emphasis, seek help from professionals who can really actually help you. Most of the issues we have in marriages today are baggages that we are brought from outside the marriage before we got married. A woman that has been molested, one that has seen her father treat her mother badly, see her father beat her mother, she will be defensive. A man that has seen maybe his uncle treated badly, that has had issues in a previous relationship, bringing that baggage into this new marriage, they become intolerant, suspicious of one another. We need to go for healing. Let us go and find a means by which we will get healing and become whole again before we now start to damage other people and even start to damage our children unconsciously. Because when our children see us in the states that we're in, we are also damaging them. And why majority of the youth these days don't see the value in getting married anymore. My parents were married, but they were always fighting. They got along better when they divorced. I heard somebody say that to me in church. They got along better after they divorced. So what's the point in getting married so that I get divorced to get better with my partner? We need to do stuff about it, and it boils down to healing. And may God help us.
Amen. Thank you very, very much. Thank everyone for joining. It's been explosive. It's been educative. It's been enlightening. And I believe everyone has joined. For the people who have contributed, I really, really appreciate you so much. For the people who are taking notes silently, God bless you all as well. Please do share the program. I'm going to leave it on. Share it to people. Maybe there's somebody you've been trying to talk to. They're not listening. Maybe this message can just be what they need for healing. By saying, let's dig deep into each other's life, your partner's life. Dig deep, find out where they are coming from. Find out what makes them tick. Find out what makes them what they are. If your partner is a very jovial person, try and understand why they are very jovial. If it's somebody that's got a thick skin, understand why. If your partner is somebody who is very aggressive, understand why they became aggressive. Nobody was born aggressive. Something made them aggressive. So if you understand the cause of the problem, the foundation of the problem, then you will know how to help them. Let us not judge one another. Let us not condemn one another. But in love, let us correct one another. Okay, I remain your host, Ekene Modupe Chidi. I'm sorry our other speaker could not join us today. It was due to the traffic. That was Mr. Adedamola. Okay. Thank you all for joining. Very, very, very big thank you to Mr. Professor Dr. Oluwaseun Barake Olubanwo. God bless you all for joining. Princess Feyikemi Orlando, thank you so much for your contribution, your question, and the experiences you shared. Maria Voice, God bless you. Sheyi Mission, God bless you, birthday girl. Thank you all. Mr. Olarewaju Adeniji, thank you. Mommy Okiki Jesu,
Thank you so much for joining, ma. God bless you, even out of your busy schedule. I see a lot of people online, but I cannot see your names. So I'm very, very sorry, but I appreciate everyone that has joined and that will still be watching. Have a good night. Bye.